Hey folks, welcome back to our Dice Tower preview. I'm Mark, and today we're taking a look at Mitropia. Mitropia is brought to you by Time Warp Labs. It's for 2 to 5 players, ages 12 and up, and games range anywhere from 45 to 90 minutes. When the peoples of the earth and their gods wish to show their skill, triumph, and champion their causes, they no longer spill their blood on the battlefields of the world. Instead, they ascend to the fields of the gods, finding there the ancient game of Mitropia, which allows them to test their mettle against one another, each tribe bringing its most brilliant strategists, ancient gifts, and warriors to win the day. The magical fields of the gods shift and change to create new challenges. Divine powers are harnessed to place warriors on the field and weave the structures needed to win. Incantations strengthen a position or weaken an opponent, changing fortunes in the blink of an eye. The main goal of the game is to control more territory than any other tribe at the end of the game. To control territory means to either occupy a space with your warrior or completely surround a space with your warriors. You can also increase your score by capturing prisoners from opposing tribes. Each prisoner increases your score by 1 point. At the end of the game, the player who has the highest score through the most territory controlled and prisoners taken combined wins. With luck, a number of special action cards and powers may also modify your results. Lastly, watch out! If any of the tribal chieftains is captured, the game ends and counting begins. Now, depending on the player count will determine how you build out this grid. The grid is made up of standard terrain tiles, which are worth 1 point at the end of the game if you occupy them. And there's also mountain terrains, which block and you can't play in those areas. But there's also wormholes, and these wormholes allow you to teleport all over the map, which is pretty cool. Now, there's tribes. Everyone gets their own tribe, and each of the tribes has their own special ability, which can really change up how you play each time. Now, each of these tribes are also color-coded, and you'll get a bag with the matching colors and tokens that you're going to be placing out on the board. Now, you'll also have an arrow at the top of your board, which will dictate kind of your orientation, and you'll position yourself around the board. Now, there's also 2 different types of cards. You have special movement cards, and you have pattern cards. Each player is going to receive 3 pattern cards and 2 special movement cards at the start of the game. You can't look at these yet. You're going to place them face down until the start of the game. Now, at the start of the game, you're going to be placing tokens, and you're going to be doing this in turn, but you're going to be placing a stack of 2. 2 tokens will designate your chieftain of your tribe. Now, if your chieftain is captured in the game, well, that will trigger the end. So you want to protect your chieftain and utilize them strategically for sure. And then you get to look at the cards that you were dealt. And 1 card will go on your board, the others will be kept in your hand as secret, and then the game can begin. On your turn, you can perform 1 of 4 possible actions. The first couple we're going to take a look at are the pattern matching ones. And right away, you're looking at the pattern that's on your player board. And it's important to note that the arrow that's on your board, you want to make sure you orient the card in the same way that the arrow is. And you're going to be basing the middle of the card off of whatever piece that you have in play that you want to expand from. So either it's a chieftain or a single piece, it doesn't matter. But the pattern will show you where you can place a new piece. And you will always do it based on this card that you have on your player board. So you'll be looking at that and then placing additional pieces. And again, you're trying to occupy territory for points in the game, or you're trying to surround your opponent so you can capture them and remove them from the board. Secondly, you can play a pattern card from your hand instead. And if you do, you'll do one of the possibilities and then discard the card. But you have to keep in mind that when you discard it, you leave that card open for others to tap into. Even on your turn, you could have tapped into a card that was in the discard instead. Or you may so choose to replace the card on your player board with a new one from your hand. Now, it's important to note, when you're placing based on a pattern card, you don't get to place a token in each of the spaces that it calls for. You only get to pick one of those. So in this example, you can see we can place 1 of 3 possible options in kind of like the lower quadrant or behind a piece that we already have in play. And you could just choose where to put those. But you have to be careful here too, because you might be placing or trying to place where there's a mountain range or even off the board, which are illegal moves you can't do. And there's also that wormhole. If you place a piece there, it's going to move it across the board. And maybe you want that as you're trying to surround one of your fellow players and capture their pieces. Now, when you're capturing pieces, it's very straightforward. If you surround your opponent, then you capture that piece, or even possibly multiple pieces. However, in a game of 3 or more players, you might have to share when you capture pieces. If you're the last one to place a piece and you're sharing kind of that surrounding with one of your fellow players, then whoever placed that last piece will always break ties and they'll get the piece that they captured. But if there's multiple pieces there, and let's say there's 2 or 3, then you'll have to split the bounty, so to say, with the player that has helped you capture those pieces. Another possible action you might perform in your turn is doing one of these special action cards. Now, these action cards are going to do all kinds of different things. You have the ambush card, which is basically going to allow you to move a piece anywhere, really. And then you have the swift deployment card, and this really is going to give you 2 movement. You have to follow the pattern on your card, and they can't touch the same icon or the same tokens, but it allows you to do 2 different things based on one of your pattern cards. And then you have the charge, 1, 2, 3, and 4. These cards are basically allow you to move pieces across the board. And then you have double strength. So when you place a token based on a pattern card, you now get to place 2 tokens, and they have to be touching. And then you have triple strength, and just like double, you're going to be placing 3 now instead of 2 or 1. Really powerful cards. Subvert is very interesting because it allows you to intercept a player's turn, or basically a player's movement, and replace it with your token instead. And then you have deflect, and this basically allows you to deny a player whatever they're trying to do. So it's a pretty powerful card. It's kind of a stop action card. So those are some of the basics of the different actions and different special cards you can perform. As you can see, as you mix those up with your patterns, it can really enhance how you get pieces into play and possibly how you surround your opponent. The final action you might perform is to pass. Either you don't have a legal move, or strategically you're just going to pass to save up to do something bigger later perhaps. So you'll pass your turn, and then you're taking a look at the cards in your hand. And you can draw back up to 5 if you so choose. And if you do have 5 cards already, you can discard one and draw a new one. Now what's interesting is one of the tribes has the ability to have 6 cards. So you want to keep that in mind as you're picking tribes at the beginning of the game perhaps. Or maybe you're just randomly shuffling them out to each player. But either way, all those different abilities of these tribes really change up how you play. And then when there's no more legal moves left in the game comes to an end. Or if you've captured one of the chieftains, the game comes to an end and you will total up points. Remember, you're getting points for all the terrain that you occupy and all the pieces that you've captured. And whoever has the most points is going to be declared by the gods to be the ultimate champion. All right, folks, just a reminder once again, this has been a Dice Tower paid preview. Everything you've seen here has been in prototype form, so keep a close eye on the campaign for any changes that still may occur. Now, this game definitely has its roots in the game of Go, and you definitely get that flavor, but there's some neat twist to this one, and there's some advanced rules and different board setups that can really change how you play every game. And I just found this to be really engaging, and it really works well with 3 and even higher players. 2 players is interesting as well, but I like it with the higher player counts and how you can share victories and divvy up the loot, so to say, as you capture pieces. So, but ultimately, folks, if this looks like something that would be of interest to you, I'm sure they'd appreciate your support. So I think that's it for me, and until next time, we'll see you at the table.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas, for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando, in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.